I remember growing up as a kid, my father tried to explain to me the difference between studying and learning from his perspective is the things you study you just know, but the things you learn you know forever. And that kind of stuck with me, together with the idea that your parents seem smarter as you get older. Although it's, because as parents, they have knowledge they want to share with you, but as a kid you don't always appreciate it. And you want to, tell your kids not to get burnt by touching the stove when it's hot, but sometimes you have to experience it in order to know it. And so, same goes with learning. And so how we actually connect those dots and how we understand this is sort of dramatic for some of us. And, also, depending upon, as Mel was getting to in terms of what schools we fit into and don't, it's really hard, but I like to believe that we live in a time now where you could be totally independent, you could be fearless, you could be have the confidence to basically explore your own path and to discover it and to find it and to make it. I believe very much in a lot of some of the undercurrents of the conference here in terms of being able to discover who you are. Ask as many questions as you want to and feel comfort in doing so. And you may accept the status quo, but I've made a career challenging it. And I've been very fortunate to be able to go to Washington in different fields and just challenge the way we communicate and kind of worked. So I strongly encourage disruption in a positive kind of way, whether it's in education or in technology. I think that we're living through a tremendous moment in time that history can only start to appreciate the impact of which we hopefully will appreciate now, but it's very powerful. We have our last speaker before breaking, which is Don. He's going to actually be talking about Where Learning Begins, I believe. He's actually covering an area we haven't touched yet. We did kindergarten, but he's 0 to 3. Don, come out, please. Come on out. Thank you. Thank you.
Certainly. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. So yeah, it looks like I'm the speaker who's supposed to remind us that actually education begins well before kids ever actually get to school. And so I'd love to give a quick show of hands. How many people already believe that the first 3 years are the most important in a child's learning career? Give me a show of hands. Okay, nice good majority. For those that didn't raise their hands, I'd love to do a quick thought experiment with you. So I want you to conjure up in your mind the image of a newborn baby. So take yourself back to the delivery room. Think about that relatively fragile, helpless newborn baby who seems to be dependent on you for their every need. Okay, contrast that newborn with the image of an independent 3-year-old, walking, talking, problem solving, almost like they're a little adult. Think about that contrast. Newborn, 3-year-old. Wow, what a transformation, right? Any of you that didn't raise their hands, I challenge you to give me a 3-year period with more dramatic changes than that. Now, in a 10-minute talk, I can't go into much detail about this period and why it's so important. But I do want to share with you a revealing video that I think gives us a peek into the mind of a baby. If we could roll the tape, let's watch. Oh, and this video is called the Still Face Experiment.
The experiment what the mother did was she sits down and she's playing with her baby who's about a year of age.
I'm like a girl. Oh.
And she gives a greeting to the baby gives a greeting back to her.
Yeah.
This baby starts pointing at different places in the world, and the mother's trying to engage her and play with her. They're working to coordinate their emotions and their intentions, what they want to do in the world. And that's really what the baby is used to. And then we ask the mother to not respond to the baby. The baby very quickly picks up on this. And then she uses all of her abilities to try and get the mother back. She smiles at the mother. She points because she's used to the mother looking where she points. The baby puts both hands up in front of her and says, "What's happening here?"
Okay, so you can see the dramatic impact that a mother's behavior has on the baby's world. And it turns out that level of responsiveness is a really important factor in a child's learning, growth, and development. In the popular book Nurture Shock, Poe Bronson focuses a chapter on language development. And he cites research that shows how important parental responsiveness is for launching the language career. And if a baby has a responsive parent, they understand 4 times the amount of vocabulary, or 4 times the amount of words, the receptive vocabulary. And they can actually produce or say 10 times the amount of words. You know, a staggering effect from responsiveness. And you know, this is not just for language, but it's for all aspects of a child's learning career. You know, babies have this. If babies have this this opportunity to just get out in the world and explore with a responsive parent and responsive materials and good feedback, they really learn and master at an incredible pace. And every day there's an infinite amount of opportunities to add a little depth and breadth to a baby's learning. So let's just take the example of the bath time routine. Most of us probably do it almost every evening with our babies, but how rich of an experience do we provide? So I'd love for you guys to just think about how could bath time be a much more rich learning experience for your baby? And I'd like to show a little video that shows some of the possibilities. This video was produced by EB's Adventures, which is a company I founded to compete against Baby Einstein, where all the videos are a catalyst for real-world play. And this is a quick clip on just some water play possibilities. Let's watch.
Now squeeze me now, never let me go. Going with the flow, baby, go, go, go. Over here, all over the place. Going with the flow, puts a smile on your face. Going with the flow, go, go, go. Going with the flow, baby, take it slow. Going with the flow all day and night. Going with the flow all night. So watch me.
There you go. So it just shows that, you know, any situation you can really bring in extra tools and things, and just let the baby have fun and explore water, because water is this amazing feature. We as adults we've been dealing with it for decades, so we kind of take everything for granted. But for babies, it's like, wow, you try to grab the water, it falls through your fingertips. You know, it's just an exciting to learn and develop a relationship with water. So there's lots of ways. And this video actually just showed one aspect of water play, which is the exploration of flow, but there's sink float games, water transfer games, water art games, etc. So there's lots of ways to make any situation a really exciting learning adventure for a baby. And at EB's Adventures, we have adventures with blocks and buildings, pots and pans, light and shadow. There's just, again, any aspect of a baby's world can be transformed into a cool and powerful learning adventure. And this is exactly what the job of parenting is during these early, and educating is during these early critical years. It's not just about, you know, a free, open-ended play, and it's not just about adult-directed learning in our activity. It's really about this kind of wonderful dynamic dance between the baby, the parent, and the world. So let's now turn and look at how the tools of the real-time web can help during this critical period. And the first and most obvious use is in our role as parent and caregiver. So we've already discussed, you know, if you can better get to know your individual child, you're going to be able to better respond to their specific needs and launch and propel their learning career. So, and babies are sending off signals all the time about who they are, and now with the real-time web, we have a whole cast of a new set of tools to capture what babies are revealing about themselves and gain insights into what their special interests and talents are. And I'd like to use my daughter, Whitney, as an example to illustrate. So one day we were hanging out at the baby pool, and I noticed that Whitney was really getting intense about her water play. And so let me just show you a real quick clip of my daughter, Whitney, at the baby pool. So that's my daughter Whitney, and basically now that we all have smartphones, and you know we basically have an HD camcorder and HD camera on our person at all times. So it's easy to pull that out, and I noticed this play going on and capture that with my smartphone. And we also have the ubiquitous cloud. So it was extremely easy for me to just upload and share that with other important people in Whitney's life. And so we can actually watch that video and say, oh wow, Whitney is starting to experiment and get the concept of water displacement. So she puts that one cup in the other one, and the water comes popping out, and that she was fascinated by that. Wow, I don't have to pour it out like I usually do. So not only can we reflect on that moment, but we can also try to make it like next time we're at the pool or in the bathtub, we can make sure we have the tools and the opportunities so that she can bump into that concept again and continue the exploration. So we can also push these tools a lot further. I'm currently working on a company called Smarter Folio, which is a kind of 21st century baby book. And in that, we're really creating a storytelling assistant tool that will help families capture these precious moments, make sense of them, and build the bigger story about their unique child. And these tools will really help families share and shape these stories so they can learn from each other's perspective and also learn from moments that they capture separately. But in addition to leveraging the social graph for the baby, we also want to introduce a new concept called the learning graph for the baby. And basically, what the learning graph is a map of a child's unique profile. So based on a deep understanding and model of development and learning, Smarter Folio will provide provocative dimensions upon which to craft learning graph narratives. And a simple example is taking my daughter's water play explorations and building building the story around the construction of her knowledge of water displacement and other understandings revealed through her water play. Families will more easily be able to work as a team to better understand and support the unique and special genius buried within each of the child. And in addition to parenting tools, our toddlers can better access the digital worlds directly. So with the iPad and the advent of touchscreen and motion detection and 3D and other post-PC era interface devices, it is much easier to interact with the digital world than it was with a keyboard and a mouse. So now for a baby, it's much more natural, and they can just touch things and move things like they do in the real world. And this makes it much more developmentally appropriate experience for toddlers to be able to get into the digital world. So here is another quick clip of Whitney when she's 2 years old and just beginning to play with the iPad. So if we could roll that. And again, Whitney, at this point, had probably only picked up the iPad a handful of times. But you can see how natural, in this video, you'll see how natural the interface is for a 2-year-old toddler.
Oh, there you go. Did you find your app? Oh, is that a shape sorter? You're dragging those to the right spots, huh? Oh, what's that? Are you dancing to the music?
Okay. So again, the interfaces are getting much easier even for our youngest learners to be able to get into the digital world. And at EB's Adventures, we are working on the concept of their world in your pocket. So instead of the usual apps with letters, numbers, shapes, and colors, what we want to do is give babies their own simulated worlds on the screen. So for example, if they wanted to take water play simulation, they would be able to explore some property or feature of water, such as splashing with a lighter or harder stroke of the screen. And like our videos, every app venture would be a catalyst for real-world play. But when they're stuck in their car seat for a very long car ride, or they're strapped in at some restaurant and they can't access their digital world, or they can't access the real world as well, they'll have it available digitally and be able to keep the exploration going. So So anyhow, I think we're pretty much out of time, but I hope I've been able to give you a quick glimpse into the world of our youngest learners. And I believe there is a lot more we can do to improve the lives of our babies and help them set the critical foundation that their entire learning career is built upon. So let's include 0 to 3 in the education debates and conferences like these. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great.